Okay, this is Bob UFO Satellite Radio, broadcasting from coast to coast and internationally for all those on the same Facebook frequency. Bob. Okay, so give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. So some of you may be wondering. Give me a second. Start going for a walk here. Close. You gotta keep it going. Keep this going. Okay. So some of you may be wondering, maybe thinking. So Bob, do you have any insights for today, buddy? And actually I do. There's a few insights I have. The major insight I have is, and this is a theory of mine, which I believe is actually a universal fact, okay? That, and I'm going to say it, because I've said it before, and I think it's important to elaborate more on it, that everything that we could ever want, everything that we could ever need, or everything that we could ever have is already available for us. As a matter of fact, it's actually already right within us. It's within us, around us, above us, beyond us, however you want to say it. In other words, each human being that's endowed with what is called consciousness, okay? And when I use the word consciousness, please note this, I'm not using the word consciousness in any sort of egocentric way, in any way, shape, or form, or any sort of egoism way, in any way, shape, or form, because it's my belief that the majority of our problems is due to this egocentric way of looking at things, and perceiving things, and acting and living. In other words, it's the ego that really, when I say the ego, in other words, the incorrect use of the ego. It's the incorrect use of the ego that gets human beings in trouble. And I'm going to elaborate more on that as I go on with this talk. So let me keep talking about it. So basically what I'm saying is that the whole key for humanity has to do with consciousness. Okay? Consciousness that just is. Okay? Consciousness that's just within each human being. This consciousness, this awareness that's within each human being actually extends infinitely. So there's no beginning to it. There's no ending to it. It just is. You could compare it to an infinitely vast field. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna keep going. There we go. You could compare it to an infinitely vast field of awareness, an infinitely vast field of awareness, of consciousness, that is there. It's just part and parcel of the universal matrix. Okay, what I mean by the universal matrix, I don't know if that's a proper word to use. The universal, I don't like using the word universal matrix. It gives it an incorrect perception, so let me change that. It's part and parcel of the universal substance. You may be asking, well, what do you mean by the universal substance? Well, Okay, consciousness or awareness, infinite consciousness, infinite awareness is one aspect, okay, it's one aspect. But then you have the energy mass components, okay. You have the energy mass components of existence, okay, which is another attribute of eternal existence. So the energy mass components of existence have always been there, they always will go there. You got the cosmic, evolutionary, biological forces of existence, which have always been there and always will go on forever. You got the eternal polarity of existence, as controversial as it sounds, but you got the eternal polarity of existence, the positive, the scientific, what I call the scientific positive negative duality that's constantly going on, okay, that has always been there, it will always go on forever. So you got all these different aspects of existence, okay. Now this is, for me, when I think about it, this is the key to it all. This is the key to finally the whole human race. Whoa, give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second, okay. This is the key to, try to see if everything is there, okay. This is the key to finally, the whole human race achieving what is called liberation, or what religions would refer to as salvation, or to some of the Eastern religions would refer to as enlightenment or nirvana, however you want to say it, okay? And this is going to be another controversial statement to make, but I have to make it. And with this said, I'm going to put religions in their proper context for people to properly understand what religions are truly saying, in my opinion. Okay, so let me keep elaborating on this, okay? So the proper use of the ego is to realize what I call these self-evident truths of everything which I just said about the universal substance of all things, of consciousness intersected with the energy mass components, intersected with the cosmic biological evolutionary forces, intersected with the concept of infinity itself, okay? And this is going to be the next thing, which is the most explosive statement that I can make, that all existence, all infinite existence is circular in formation. Okay, let me keep repeating that. All infinite existence is circular in formation. Okay, I will say that one more time. All infinite existence is circular in formation. Now you may be saying, okay, Bob, what are you getting at with that statement? Okay, now think about when we project into the future. Okay, and think about when we project into the past. If we think about the future, we project into the future. Usually we're using what's called an imaginary perception of it. Kind of like drawing like a straight line or a straight path that keeps going forward indefinitely and never ends. And at some point it disappears because we just don't have access to infinity. This infinity is outside of all ranges. Or same thing with the past. We could project back in time and keep going and going and going and going. But finally, at some point, it all disappears because we don't know how far back things really go. So, what am I saying? Okay, so we're using a mental imaginary line, a construct of a mental imaginary line. We're projecting these things, but in reality, going infinitely into the future or going infinitely into the past, eventually at some point, they both curve back upon themselves and re-enter into your own eternal present. Once again, at some point, they curve back upon themselves. They curve back upon themselves and re-enter into your own eternal present. So that's the most explosive statement I'm making, is that the infinite future and the infinite past, they will always converge back again and again and again into your own eternal present. Now, this is what accounts for many things. This is what accounts for the perceived duality of existence. This is what accounts for the perceived uncanny actions of particle physics. This is what accounts for what happens at the level of quantum physics. This accounts for what's called a multidimensional realm of existence. This is what accounts for parallel universes. Because when you extend everything out into the level of infinity itself, hold on one second. When you extend everything out to the level of infinity itself, okay, at some point, what happens is that the person loses all reference points. Once all reference points are lost, in other words, there's no more reference points. That means there's no more space, there's no more time, there's no more locality of particle physics. And that's been proven in the laboratory, by the way, that if you can pinpoint an electron, you lose the trajectory where it came from. That's the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, that once you actually extend everything out to the realm of infinity, all reference points are completely lost. 100% lost. There's no more reference points. And once all reference points are completely lost, you are literally in the realm of eternity itself. That's what it means to be in eternity. That there's no more reference points. There's no more time. Time has ceased to be. It's all gone. There's no more time, there's no more space, no more reference points. The only thing you're left with, okay, is the field of your own consciousness. That's all you're left with, is the field of your own consciousness, which has momentarily jumped, or you could say quantum jumped, to the level of infinity itself, or God himself, or God itself, however you want to phrase that, or awareness itself, infinite awareness itself, consciousness itself. You're just that, and that is just you. You've at last achieved unity with infinity itself, whereby you are now infinite, okay? And in that infinity, you have access to all the realms of eternal existence that you can think of, okay? And see, that's the key point to it all. That's the key point where all religions are pointing to, whether they care to admit it or not. So, let me see. Let me keep going here. Okay. So that's That's the key point to the whole entire understanding of everything, including our purpose here in existence, which for each human being has to make that cosmic celestial jump. So that's the key to it all. And it's important to understand that. It's important to understand that. Now, in the course of me saying this, some people may get very upset by some of the statements I'm making, because some people may misinterpret it and say, well, what you're saying is that the whole purpose of religion is to tell people to become God. But see, that statement is, somebody were to say that, they would take that statement completely out of context, 100% out of context, and leave behind the other statement which I was talking about, okay, which is that any sort of convoluted self-egoism or egocentric behavior or patterns or whatever it is, eventually all those patterns implode. They implode upon themselves because it's not pertaining to the infinite harmonic symmetry of what the universe is about. The infinite harmonic symmetry of what the universe is about, okay, is about that there is a definite pattern to it all. A definite pattern, a definite purpose, a definite pattern, a definite purpose, a definite propelling system to it all. A definite propelling system to it all, by which, in order to get there, believe it or not, in order to get to that level, you have to, and I have to, and all human beings have to leave behind any and all self-convoluted, egocentric egoism once and for all. Because that self-convoluted, egocentric egoism seeks power over other people. It seeks domination over other people. It seeks to exploit other people, to hurt other people, and to use other people. The list goes on and on and on and on. Okay, that's the reason why our planet is such serious trouble. So that the majority of our governments, and unfortunately even many of our religious institutions, is based upon this egocentric false progression of things, okay, in which we learn to bow down to corrupt and unjust authorities that have no place to be any sort of authority over us, okay? Because the only authority that you should be bowing down to is that which is infinite within you. And by bowing down to that which is infinite within you, okay, you bow down to that which is infinite within everyone else, because everybody's acting harmoniously. I don't know if that makes any sense. So in other words, give you an example, and this is putting it into a concrete, practical format anybody can understand. So let's say you're at a job, you're at a job, you have your chain of command of authority of your bosses and supervisors and fellow co-workers who may have been there a little longer, in which they're given a certain amount of authority, so on and so forth. Well, in a situation like that, everybody acting harmoniously to achieve a certain, what I call, positive objective, to accomplish something positive, not only for themselves but for society at large. Well, then that is something in which you want to harmonize with, and to actually obey the authority figures that have been assigned to you at that job, because it's actually pertaining to an overall worthwhile goal. In other words, it's not based on egoism, it's just based upon achieving a certain objective goal that's good for everybody. Okay, in other words, there's really no conflict in that, because the authorities that are over you And when I say over you, in other words, the authorities that have been assigned to you are actually harmonizing with the authority that's within you. I don't know if that makes sense, because it's pertaining to a goal that's peaceful, that's harmonious, that's good for society, that's going to build society. And in the process of doing that, you're getting paid a certain amount of money, as well as whatever benefits may be at that job, okay, to do what you need to do there. And now, why am I emphasizing that? Because I don't want any misinterpretation. Some people can misinterpret statements and say, okay, well, if you're going to only obey the authority within yourself, that means no matter what anybody else tells you out there, you don't have to listen to. And that is a gross misinterpretation of what I'm saying. Okay. Now, I use the purpose of the job. Okay. It could be the same thing with a purpose of religion. A person goes into a religious path, and in the process of going into a religious path is something that's peaceful, that's going to really help out people. It's going to really not only help out people, but it's going to achieve an overall positive goal. Well, then that religious person that's been assigned to you to help you to reach that level you need to reach to is something, even though you don't have to obey because you got freedom of religion, you don't even have to go into a religious path, but if they could teach you something positive, then you're going to listen to, because they themselves are harmonizing with what needs to be harmonized with. I don't know if you catch that drift of what I'm saying here. Basically what I'm saying, and I'm using roundabout examples to try to get into an overall example, is that there is a purpose behind it all. There is an infinite, divine, God-given purpose behind it all. But the only way a person can find that is that you have to find it within yourself. I have to find it within myself. And the only way a person can find that is that a person has to cut loose from all the convoluted, egocentric egoism that spirals one into the wrong direction time and time again. It gets one involved in traps in terms of the ego melodramas that constantly go on in this planet. Once again, politics and religions, as everybody knows, it's two areas which proves my point, no matter which side of the political spectrum one stands on. The majority of these issues I have to do with egoism, okay? Self-centered, convoluted egoism, no matter which way a person may want to see things. Okay, and so basically, with everything being said, and basically with everything that's been happening, a person has to cut all that. And in the course of cutting all that, okay, a person has to harmonize with what's really true within themselves, what's infinite within themselves. And that boundary of infinity is no boundary at all, because it's infinitely wide open. There's so many powerful, positive, infinite alternatives to which path a person could take. It's not even funny. And so one finds that what's outside of oneself is actually has been within oneself all along. And what I mean by that is that one finds that, we keep going here. Okay, one finds that when one talks about God outside of oneself, one finds that that same God is within oneself. That's what I'm trying to say. It has been there all along. But it takes a tremendous amount of insight and of what's called faith, if you will, to understand this in order to make that jump. You know, some people may say, well, Bob, have you made that jump? Well, I could say honestly that I'm trying to make that jump, because we need more and more people to step up to the plate and to start reversing much of the negatives that have been happening for far too long. There's way too much negativity on this planet, and there's way too many political, religious forces which seek to undermine human consciousness, okay? I don't like having to say that in that way. Let's see. All right. So, I'm trying to put it all in perspective. I'm trying to put everything in proper perspective, because it's so important to see everything in proper perspective. And this doesn't take away with what's good in religion, okay? So don't think that. Or this doesn't take away with what's honest within politics. If you got honest politicians, there are not too many, but you got honest politicians who are actually looking out for the people, doesn't take away from that too. But the problem is that there's so much corruption now. And the only way that corruption can be reversed is that each human being has to get rid of their own individual corruption. That's not an easy thing to do, because much of that corruption, once again, is based on self-centered, egocentric egoism, convoluted egoism. I don't know if people get my drift, okay? But from that particular core, okay, ugly core, comes from all the problems that you could ever know in the world, okay? And that the only way to reverse it is that each person has to take personal responsibility. That's the only way. There's no other way, really. So I'm trying to put everything in proper perspective. Okay. I'm trying to put everything in proper perspective for people to see, for people to understand, and for people to kind of grasp. And this includes myself. This includes myself because as I talk about this, as I elaborate about this, as I express about this, and share what I know to other people, and in the process of that, I myself too learn something that's new. Okay? Because once again, it's not an egocentric thing. It's an awareness thing. It's a consciousness thing, which is infinite. I could keep going on and on and on and on about this. Okay, there's so many things to say about this, but I'm only elaborating on this because right now, planet Earth is at a standstill, and that's not good. So we need to break through. Let me see. Here we go. Here we go. So, planet Earth is at a standstill, and we really need to break through. And this coronavirus, I'm hoping there could be a silver lining where a lot of people start waking up, and we never allow ourselves to go through something like this ever again. In which we just really, truly start waking up. That's what I'm hoping for. So, hi. So, that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm aiming for. And that's pretty much it. Let me see. So, let me go this way. Okay. Go this way. So, give me 1 minute. So, I'm only bringing all this back because, see, it is my definite belief we're meant to get out there to other planetary systems, to other celestial systems. But that's only going to come about when there's a whole new when there's a whole new, what I call this time, a universal renaissance for the human race. When that happens, when we have a whole new level of a universal renaissance, then everything will change. Because then there'll be a whole new period of universal enlightenment that transcends, note the word I'm using, transcending politics, transcending religion, transcending this, transcending that, and aiming towards the ultimate transcendental realm, which is unification with that which is universal consciousness or awareness, or what religions would refer to as God, or scientists would refer to as infinity. And that's where the whole UFO breakthrough comes through. The unified field origin, a UFO breakthrough, and UFOs being used to traverse across infinite space and time to all different sectors of all galaxies, universes, everything that's out there. Thank you very much. Okay, Bob. There we go. UFO Bob signing out.